So happy to be back home after being in LA for a week. So appreciative of our Sangha, that's so gentle and loving Sangha. And what I'm going to talk today is that chapter 9, and I don't think we will pass the first little paragraph of that chapter because there is so much to it, or there was so much for me to learn about that first paragraph of chapter 9 of the Diamond Sutra. And it goes like this. The Buddha then asked, "What do you think, Subhuti? Does one who has entered the stream which flows to enlightenment say, 'I have entered the stream'? Does one who has entered the stream that which flows to enlightenment say, 'I have entered the stream'?" And you know what Subhuti is going to say. A true disciple entering the stream would not think of themselves as a separate person that could be entering anything. Oh, our new member. Only that disciple who does not differentiate themselves from others, who has no regard for name, shape, sound, odor, taste, touch, or for any quality, can truly be called a disciple who has entered the stream. So what is this stream that the Buddha is asking and that Subhuti is responding? So to understand that term of stream entrant, I had to look into the Pali Canon. And the Pali Canon recognizes 4 levels of awakening. The first of which is called stream entry. And it gives us 4 practices that can help us enter the stream. And those are to associate with people of integrity, and that we can see that that's why the Sangha treasure is so important. And sometimes, when maybe you remember back in your life, when you started practicing, that you have to somehow leave behind some friends that maybe were not support that didn't support your practice so much, and start making different friends that support practice more. At least I remember that I had to do that. I look forward, having friends that would support my practice. And I married one. Okay. Another factor that can help us enter the stream is listening to the true Dharma. And I feel that teaching about the Diamond Sutra every week that I give a talk, to me that is learning, or learning the true Dharma, and I hope you feel that way, that this also help you, will help us also enter the stream. The third factor is appropriate attention. And the way I see appropriate attention is making effort in staying awake, and making effort of paying attention to our reactions, the way we take things personally, or not. And then the fourth factor is to practice in accordance with the Dharma. And I would say it this way, to live our life in accordance with the Dharma. And that could be, our effort in maintaining the precepts, our effort in trying to practice the middle way, our effort to understand the teachings of our ancestors, all of that, all of those and more could be ways of practicing in accordance with the Dharma. So, to remind you again, the question of the Buddha is, does one who has entered the stream which flows to enlightenment say, I have entered the stream? And Subhuti's response says, a true person entering the stream would not think of themselves as a separate person that could be entering anything. And I have referred in other talks about our life being one and not made of separate things, like when separation have diminished, then our life become one life. And so there would be nothing separate to say, I am enlightened or I have entered the stream. So when we don't separate ourselves from our lives, when we don't separate ourselves from others, when we don't have regard for name, shape, sound, odor, taste, touch, or for any quality, then the Bodhisattva can be said to have entered the stream. When there are no separations in our life, we would not say that we have entered the stream or that we are enlightened or anything like that. And this, when Subhuti says, only that disciple who does not differentiate themselves from others, who has no regard for name, shape, sound, odor, taste, touch, or for any quality, can truly be called a disciple who has entered the stream. And this takes me to the Heart Sutra that we chanted this morning. I'm not going to chant it, I'm just going to say, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, doing deep prajna paramita, clearly saw the emptiness of all the 5 conditions. And here we are referring to the 5 skandas, those completely relieving misfortune and pain. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness exactly formed. So I look into the skandas that you have heard many times about the skandas. But let's review them again. Skandas is a Sanskrit word that means aggregates, collections, or groupings. I like the word groupings. And it refers to the groupings of clinging or aggregates of clinging. And these are the 5 material and mental factors that take part in the rise of craving and clinging. I love this because it gives us a very clear understanding of how craving and clinging arises, and is by attaching to these skandas, to these 5 skandas. And these groupings of clingings are form or material images, impressions. When we attach to these material images or or impressions that we see with our eyes, what we receive all the time, that's one factor that arise suffering. And another factor that can arise suffering is our attachment to sensations, feelings, emotions, because these five skandas are empty by nature. They don't have a separate identity, but when we attach to them, then we make them into something fixed, and that inevitably creates suffering. And I have seen it so many times in myself. The moment I attach to any of the five skandhas that arise constantly, suffering arises. And I like you to maybe contemplate in your life when you might have attached to the impressions you receive, images you receive, and how that creates craving and suffering. Or when we attach to our feelings and sensations, that's another way that we could also create suffering for ourselves and others. It's not that we don't have not to have them, because we are receiving impressions all the time and we are having feelings all the time, but it's when we attach to them, this is me, this is my sensation, this is me, then that's how we suffer, because then we separate from the rest, and the world of emptiness cannot keep flowing. Perception, our perceptions, for example, of what we perceive to be the truth. We might be sure that our perception is right, and we attach to our perception, we are creating suffering for ourselves and maybe for others too. The fourth skanda is mental activity or formations, and it says, or influence of a previous life. Like sometimes we don't know why things happen to us in this life, and my only explanation is that this is not coming from this life. This is something that I already brought it in this life. Whether I believe in reincarnation or not, it just makes sense to me that I already brought this with me. This was my baggage. And the fifth is very interesting because it says discernment, which is a wisdom, the wisdom of discernment, and awareness, which is great, awareness or consciousness. So it's great to have those. It's great to have discernment, it's great to have awareness, and it's great to have consciousness. Or when we attach to it, and to make it into something fixed, that's when we create suffering for ourselves and others. So when I was at this retreat in LA, I mean, here I have to tell you, this is so safe for me. This is such a safe place for me to be. I mean, really. I mean, just the animals, the watering, taking care of the Zen center, cooking food. I mean, there is not much triggers. But boy, when you go to LA and you do an interracial retreat and you do counsel like for 2 to 3 hours every day, it's like, wow, if I don't practice that these skandals are all empty, I get in big trouble. So it was a great motivator to, like, everything I see, everything I perceive, everything that I am aware of, I'm not attaching to it. I'm just letting go of it. And that's how I survive in that intense interracial retreat, and with many hours of very close encounters of counsel. And the most beautiful thing, with awareness, which is a great thing, but is awareness, being aware of awareness. Then that's the good thing. Awareness by itself is like, oh, I'm aware of this, then there is separation, but awareness, that being aware of awareness, we are safe. We practice that in any environment, because things come and go, come and go, come and go, and nothing sticks, and it's awesome when we can practice that. It's the best practice. Like there is a verse in the Mumonkan that I love, and it says like the when the one that is seeing had been seen through, that is awareness looking at awareness. There is no place to stick in there. Because the nature of all aggregates, like I said before, is intrinsically empty. Empty, everything is empty. Which means that everything is independent everything is empty of an independent existence. And the aggregates or these groupings do not constitute a self of any kind. So the five skandas was the realization of Avalokitesvara, seeing into the emptiness of all the five skandas. Is a great practice, is a great way to stay away from unnecessary suffering that we cause when we attach to these things and make it into the I, this was done to me, and reinforcing that idea of a separate self. And now I'm going to pass you to the Avatamsaka Sutra, or the flower garden scripture. And in this beautiful sutra, the flower garland scripture, I found the different stages of the different stages that the Bodhisattva goes through as his or her practice matures. And I look at the stage 7, 7th and 8th, that's when the practice of the Bodhisattva starts maturing, and we could relate it to this time of stream entering. So from the time that the Bodhisattva commits to the practice of the precepts, practicing zazen, associating with people of integrity, listening to the true Dharma, paying attention, practicing in accordance with the Dharma, the precepts, the teachings of the middle way, and the teachings of our Zen ancestors, practice matures and matures. And especially of being aware of not clinging to the skandas, the practice of being aware of being aware, awareness, being aware of awareness. There is nothing then that can stick to us, and it's a great practice. And it came to me the words that I was telling you last time I gave a Dharma talk of Lei Mai Pan, when he says difficult. It's like spreading sesame seeds on the leaves of a tree. It's difficult. They are not gonna stick. They are just gonna all fall. And his wife says, easy. It's like putting your feet on the ground when you get out of bed. And then his daughter says, neither difficult nor easy. You see the teachings of the ancestors everywhere you look. So when I said difficult, I remember. Not difficult, not easy. or easy, like putting your feet on the ground when you get up from bed. So I think every time that I get from bed, I put my feet on the ground, I'm gonna remember this. Easy. Awareness, looking at awareness, easy. Or not easy, not difficult. You see the teachings everywhere. I'm gonna see the teachings everywhere. So the seventh stage in the path of the Bodhisattva is called far going. The Bodhisattva has gone far. In this stage, the Bodhisattva won't fall back into the samsaric ways. So I think this is why I relate it to stream entering, because we don't fall back to the samsaric way. We had entered the stream that now can take us to the end of the path. And it says in the sutra, beings on this stage are carried out by love and compassion, and no discrimination arises. Love and compassion. There is no more grasping, no attachment, nor pride or egoism, nor habit energy, only the experience of noble wisdom. So I see it this way as that the Bodhisattva has mastered the non-attachment to the skandas. So it's a very important practice, the practice of not attaching to the skandhas, to our perceptions, feelings, images, and not even to our own awareness. And I'm missing one, which I'm missing. And our mental activity, our thoughts. It's okay to have them, but not attaching to them. The practice is not attaching to them. That's what we practice, right? To be able to do that. And the sutra says, enlightened beings in this stage who have mostly transcended the mess of afflictions cannot be said to be defiled by afflictions or to be free from afflictions. Why? Because they do not act out any afflictions, they cannot be said to be afflicted. But because they are seeking union with all the Buddhas and have not completely fulfilled their aspiration, they cannot be said to be without affliction. It's not yet the final destination of the path, because here still there is aspiration to complete union with the Buddhas. So because of that, there is still considered there is to be some affliction. But then we go to the 8th stage. I wonder if these stages also relate to the observing pictures. But when we see the depth of the description of the Bodhisattva stages, and we look at the observing pictures, I'm sure when people look at the pictures, they say, "Oh, I am the 7th or the 8th." You know, I've been in the 10th, the 9th. It's like when you look at this, it's like, I don't rethink where you are. I love the 8th stage. Not that I am in the 8th stage, but I love the description of the 8th stage. The great bodhisattvas is called immovability. Immovability. I'm saying that word correctly? Immovability.
Movability.
You can correct me at any time.
Immovability.
Immovability. Thank you so much. I improved my English. Immovability. Immovability. The great bodhisattva are seeing all mortal beings in the 4 torrents of poisonous water, which we can say they are greed, anger, ignorance, and attachment. Desiring to come to their rescue, exert great effort But as soon as they reach the stage of immovability, they become free from all effort. So before the Bodhisattva is struggling to save all sentient beings that the Bodhisattva see they are in suffering. There is a struggle to save all sentient beings. But then when the Bodhisattva reach this stage of immovability, they become free from all effort. It reminds me of the koan of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva reaching for the what does the Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara do with all her hands? You remember? And it's no effort. It's like reaching for the pillow at night. It's no effort. And it reminds me of this. In this stage, there is no effort. It's like a natural way of being. There is no separation of you and me, of saving anything. It's just like natural activity that arises from a heart that is completely open. And I love this description when it says, "It is like a person in a dream who is crossing a dangerous river and exerting themselves to the best. They suddenly awake." It's like a person who is crossing a dangerous river, exerting themselves to the best, and suddenly they awake. And being awake, they think, is this real or unreal? It's a different level now. We don't see things the same way. There have been a change in our perceptions. For the great Bodhisattva at this stage, life is past and is remembered as it truly was, a passing dream. When you look back at your life, when your memories, your childhood, your teenagers' years, how do they appear to you? Do you perceive the dream-like quality of life when you look back? Do you see it? This stage is called immovable because bodhisattvas cannot be deflected from their course. This is totally already being carried by that stream. It is also called the stage of youth because of innocence. So the bodhisattva has returned to its original innocence. What time is it? Oh my God! I still had one more koan, but it's time. Do you want me to read you the koan? Yeah? Okay. You all know this koan, but I thought it was important to illustrate all this. This is case 91 of the Book of Equanimity, and also is koan 40 of the Blue Cliff Record. And the names are Nonsense Peony, or sometimes it's also called As in a Dream. And it goes like this. Riko Taifu, a high government official and disciple of Nansen, while talking with Nansen, said, "Dharma Master Joe is exceedingly wonderful." He said, "Heaven and earth have the same root. The 10,000 things are one body." And this is interesting, this Master Joe, imagine what kind of person he was. He was condemned to death. And he asked for a 7-day delay on his execution to finish his Dharma work. It's like this kind of people really I am associated with these people. I want to be associated with these people. And Kato, of course. And Nansen said, because Master Taifu, no, I mean the student Taifu, he was just repeating the words of Master Joe. Although beautiful words, he was just repeating the words of Master Joe. And Nansen's reply, people these days, Taifu, people these days see this peony as in a dream. Yeah, and then I remember I was working with this koan with one of my main teachers, Pat Hawk Roshi from the Diamond Sutra, and he told me that to see everything as in a dream is a very high state of mind, and I have more difficulties to see my daily life all the time as in a dream, but it's very easy to see when I remember with all my past life, everything I have done until now. Oh, it's totally a dream. It was just made of nothingness. It's just like energy that without any substance, And but maybe when I totally enter the stream, maybe I see everything as in a dream. And in this dream, we do the best we can. Yeah. So this is my talk for today. It had been very rich for me to remember the skandas. Remembering the skandas had straightened my commitment to practice the emptiness of the skandhas and not to attach into anything as a personal, as my thing, just to let it go and keep looking into the transparency of all the perceptions, the images, the things that people say to me, not to attach to any of that, but just to see the emptiness of all of that, and especially of awareness, of being aware of my own awareness. That's really a great practice. Not difficult, not easy. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you for people at home. I made a big mess with the breakout rooms, but I think from all my mistakes I learned how to do it, and also with the help of Corinne. Thank you.